Ralph's not
No
here.
hate, no hate in the in the podcast
No
this
hate
week.
in the pod. Pure positivity. Only truth bombs. That's all it for now.
Exactly.
Let me
Welcome
quick.
back, everyone. I guess.
Yeah, let me quickly drop all the messages that were live. I need to grab that link. I can't really do that up front.
Oh, the live link
Yeah, from
from YouTube.
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 Everybody, we're missing Ralph. Up until 1 minute ago, Joey and I thought that Ralph was going to be joining us, but apparently he's in Ibiza.
He just landed
So,
in Ibiza.
and he
And
told everyone the other podcast, including us, but he didn't say I won't make time in Ibiza for the podcast. So I'm a bit disappointed, but
the question is, did he say that he wasn't going to be here? Because
I I don't think so.
I don't think so either, but maybe our beloved listeners can confirm that because they most likely listen better than we do.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, my guess is that yeah, he didn't say it.
No, I also don't think so. But he did say it's in Ibiza, so maybe we could have added the two facts together and
Yeah, let me tag you.
then we're live as well. So
Jesus, the whole social media thing is a burden, isn't it?
soon we'll have ChatGPT 4. You could just talk to it, and they will fix everything.
That's crazy, right? I just talked about it with my brother in another podcast that I do about
Yeah.
technique stuff. It's insane, man.
About how the movie Her will actually start happening.
Dude, did you see that video of OpenAI where the father was doing homework with his son?
I've seen a few. I've seen like a translation one, and I've seen like a blind guy walking through London, and like ChatGPT is giving him a tour, basically saying like, "Oh, this is you're looking at the palace, you're
Yeah.
looking at ducks," and then like very like the movie Her. It's like almost based. I don't know if you've seen that movie.
Um,
It's
I
it's
think I did.
almost like it's based on that because it's also it's a story about a guy who is it Joaquin Neiman is his name, I think, who also plays the Joker. That's the actor's name, right? I think.
Oh,
Joaquin Phoenix, of course. Joaquin Phoenix.
Jakim. Jakim.
And he has an AI that he puts in on his ear, and then um he falls in love with his AI, and she sounds just like a human, and he's just chatting to her all day.
Yep.
And then he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna show you this," and then he takes his little phone device, and yeah, it's a really cool movie. But it's like that's what it ChatGPT 4
But you know
really
what?
sounds like.
You know what the crazy thing is to me? Like the most intensive update they gave it is that like it now because it has access to your camera and it can see the environment and stuff and it can analyze what it sees and your face recognition, like it can read emotions and stuff.
Yeah,
And to me, if you think about psychology, if you think about coaching, for example, a big part of psychology, for people who don't know, or a big part of coaching, is actually reading body language. So slightly different changes within your body can tell a lot during a
yeah,
conversation, and it can happen within the face. It can happen with the way how you sit or how you move or intonations in your voice. It's so subtle. It's hard to notice, and that's what makes a good coach or a good psychologist. To be honest, if you're, it's my opinion, and of course the theory, but what makes the whole ChatGPT 4.0 thing so insane to me is that it can recognize body language and it can be so accurate, like much more accurate than a human being, I would say,
yeah.
because it can even if your body temperature would rise 0.01%, which we will never be able to notice, a machine can.
I can. Yeah, it's crazy. It's to me, it's crazy because it's all data,
Yep.
which it's basically zeros and ones where the machine can see a pattern in very easily. It's so even with they see video, we see, oh, that's a face. They see, or they, whatever,
It's
sees
zeros and ones.
pixels, and it's like, hey, that's a black pixel, that's
Yeah.
a yellow pixel, and together those pixels make a face apparently. And then, like you said, all those subtle changes. It's crazy how the computer knows because yeah, I mean, and how fast has been going because I don't know if many people um I don't know how these things are called. CAPTCHAs, I think. If you're proving you're not a robot, they
Yeah.
ask you, "Hey, can you click the pictures that has a bus in it?" And you click the pictures that has a bus in it. That's then the computer checking, or the system, the program checking if you're a human, but also it's learning from you, like, oh, that's apparently what a bus looks like, and
Yeah.
doing
We've
that to millions and billions of photos. They learn from that data. Oh, this is apparently the data set that recognizes a face,
You're
and
actually
it's like,
training an algorithm. That's what
yeah,
you're doing. Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
then
It's
yeah, it's
insane.
just
But you know, like there's still one thing to this whole AI thing, which is like, when are we going to accept? Because I think this will be the biggest hurdle, which is going to take the most time. When are we going to accept that we're going to be talking to an AI? So, for example, a psychologist, when are we comfortable with talking to an AI about
yeah.
our emotions and about our depression and burnouts? When are we comfortable to booking a flight using AI? When do we trust that everything will be fixed and arranged properly by booking my hairdresser through AI? You know, like these things will take the most time to, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's a matter of AI has to build trust. So let's
Yeah,
say ChatGPT 4 brings out this software for everyone, and you're like, okay, now I'm going to implement it in my daily life. If you then book an appointment and it works, and you show up and you're actually in the system at the hairdresser, you're like, okay, well, now I trust it this far.
yeah, exactly.
Um, so yeah, that will just be a matter of time, but also I think it can go quite quick. Um,
If it works well.
if it works well, and if the AI is actually like, yeah, if you can actually communicate like we are doing now, then it's gonna go quick because then you can have a conversation like, hey, also that you say to your AI like, hey, you messed up, you know,
Yeah.
the booking is not in the system, whatever. It becomes a back and forth, and that's I think is the big difference.
I think that's all. I think, well, I believe that's the update they brought to 4.0 as well. Like you can have a real, genuine conversation without latency, and
Yeah,
you can actually interrupt
yeah,
the AI bot. So during the
crazy.
conversation, you can just say like, "Hey, that's not what I meant." Like, and then it stops talking instead of before it used to finish the whole thing. You know.
Yeah, yeah,
So it's a much more natural conversation. Also, the intone, like the tonations, as in the way
yeah, yeah, yeah.
how it talks, it's
Yeah, it's like the movie Her. It's a bit flirtatious, and you're like, "Oh, I would like a companion like that."
yeah.
And it's gonna. But I knew that this is how he would use AI already for a few years because I read, I read stuff. No, but like this is what a lot of people didn't realize is what we're gonna do. You're gonna talk to something like you would talk to your friend, and then say like, even in music production, it's not gonna go like, oh, I need a snare from a. No, you're gonna talk like to your computer, like, hey, I'm looking for a snare that sounds fat, kind of like a Justice snare that Justice always uses, but not real. And the AI will be like, okay, let me search one up. I have these examples and these. So it's gonna be like you're collabing
Yeah.
with your AI. It's gonna be amazing, I think.
It's like an assistant, I would say.
Yeah, yeah,
Like a
yeah.
personal assistant who can
Personals,
help
yeah,
you. Who can help you
yeah.
with like figuring out all the stuff you're not feeling to figure. Like a guy was talking to me last week as well and said like, if you think about how we use the internet, it's super
Mhm.
inefficient. You know,
Yep.
like you're gonna have to type into Google which country, which I don't know, which town is the biggest town in the states, and then you have to go figure out like, okay, which town is it, like is which page
Uh-huh.
is
Uh-huh.
viable, do they all have the same sources? Like it's so time consuming, and AI does
Yeah.
all the things for you.
Take take Google Maps. I
Yeah.
was in France last weekend and we hired a car and we were like, we want to drive along a nice coast road because we were going from Marseille to Saint Tropez. There's a beautiful coast road there. But Google Maps on your phone just sends you, okay, can you take this route? Can I have this point in between? Yeah, that's the fastest way is there. And it's very hard to make a new route based on, hey, we just want a nice road.
Yeah.
In the future, you're going to be like, hey, Google, I want to drive along the coast. I want some nice routes. I want to end up there. I don't mind taking a detour. It can take this long. And then within seconds, Google will come up with, okay, I have this option for you where this road is with the famous viewpoint right there. It's going to be so much more efficient with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, with this thing. It's crazy. But it's
Um,
also a bit
yeah.
scary that it's already here then. We'll have to wait and see if it's actually going to be released soon. But it's crazy.
Yeah. True. We'll keep an eye on it, but it's
And I think soon people are gonna watch this podcast, and we've implemented machine learning on our podcast, and then it's like halfway the episode, we're like, by the way, this is all fake, and then the real us show up. Like that was the last half hour you've been listening to
yeah.
AI.
Well, that's already been done.
Yeah, but I think oh, this I'm actually predicting something here. The implosion of social media because there will be a time where it's like very easy to make something very convincing. So there will be like bots or people, and they're like, hey, this does really well, this kind of content. We're gonna create it, we're gonna let it be posted by everything by AI, and then it's really hard to see what's real and what's fake. And I think like a lot of social media will lose its like um yeah, how do you say, like its humanity, and people will be bored of it. So you're
Hmm.
not watching, you're basically like, if I open TikTok now, I see AI content, and that's boring.
Yeah. True.
But
We'll see.
we'll see where it all
Um,
goes.
First of all, we have two things to mention,
Yeah.
which is congratulations, Jobke, with
Hey.
baby number 2 coming up.
Yeah, thanks, man.
I
we
saw a
just
lot of
announced uh we just announced this week that I'm having another baby. I'm gonna
yeah,
be a dad once again. So goodbye,
free
yeah,
time.
life how I know it once again.
I
um
saw a lot of funny comments on your post on Instagram,
yeah, yeah,
but it's yeah, congratulations, exciting times.
very exciting. Yeah.
And the other thing was happy birthday, Ralph, but he's not here.
Hey, Ralph. Oh.
Yeah, he's not here, so that kind of turned to shit. But
I know
uh,
why he's avoiding this episode, because he turned so old that he's afraid to admit how old, and then we're gonna like say how old he is, and he doesn't want that to come out because then
yeah, this is an extra boomer. That's
yeah,
what
super
happens.
boomer.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
So, um, actually, there's a couple of things. We have so many things to do, to be honest. Like we have a lot of questions. I'm not even sure if we can make it to answer them all.
Ooh, I also had some threads that
Yeah,
I
exactly. And
sent to
we
you.
have some like own topics that we wanted to talk about.
Shit, this is good for the podcast. It's too much.
True. Yeah, but we have to make decisions here. So let's first talk about the threads or photos that you send into the app. Um,
Yeah, let's
maybe
to be clear, it's threads. It sounds like threats, like I'm threatening Joey, but
are you actually using threads?
well, I do see like Twitter has gone to shit. Twitter is down the drain. I see people. Yeah, it's just horrible. The content that's shoved into my face is bad. Like
Hmm.
and I don't see like much of a EDM community on there or artist community. On Threads, I do see that way more. There's still a lot of people that are a bit pretentious and want to go viral with their threads, but there's also a lot of genuine discussions about, like, a DJ makes a statement and then some other DJs respond. So that's quite fun.
So you actually use it.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, I don't post so much myself, but in general, I don't post that much at this time, anyways. Because if
Yeah.
I don't have something to say, I won't. Um,
You've sent two things, one from the
yep,
Godfather and one
yep,
from John Summit.
yep.
Um, I
Shall
have
I read them
no,
out?
yeah, I have no. Are they connected or are they different
No, they're
messages?
not connected. I just
Ah,
this is like two subjects
okay,
separately.
take one and we'll do that
Okay,
first.
this is a thread from Godfather, and he said, Stop showing music to your producer slash musician friends, and basing your release decisions based on just their opinions."
I can share
So,
my screen. Wait,
ooh, but I still have to read it out, so I'm gonna continue.
true.
Show your music to actual fans slash music lovers slash consumers. They are the actual barometer for if your music is sticky or not. Once you start going direct to consumer with your music and cutting out the noise of your bros who might have biased opinions, that's when you start building communities with your tunes. And I thought that was a very interesting point. It's kind of something we've been talking about in the podcast every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I hope he means it to not literally stop showing your friends your music. But it is very interesting, and I think he has a good point with, hey, in the end, the consumer has to has to like it if you want your music to be successful.
Yeah.
So that's the guys, girls who you want to show like, hey, this is my music. Do you guys vibe with it? Do you like it? And other producers can also sometimes be very, yeah, like, oh, I hear your kick isn't coming through. Like if I show something to Ralph, I will have a very like producer biased opinion, which doesn't answer my question if like, hey, is this a good song? Because sometimes you need someone to be like, oh, I love this melody and I love this, and
That's
so I
technical feedback you get from him.
yeah, technical feedback, or like Godfather says, biased. Like it has already an opinion based on a lot of knowledge of music.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you need someone with no knowledge and just a sense of, hey, I do like this and I don't like that. Like my girlfriend is very much like that. She likes something or she doesn't, and she has no explanation for it.
Mm-hmm.
So she will sometimes be with a track of mine, like, I really like this one. And then I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not sure." And she, even if she hears it then later, she's like, "I still really like this one. You should do something with it." And she has no reason for it. She has no opinion really about how that track came to be. It's just, hey, I like it. Um,
I always say like people in front of you, as in as the DJ in the crowd, the crowd in front of you only cares about two things: can I dance on this, and can I sing along with this?
yeah.
And that's kind of the only two things you have to worry about. And we worry about is wow,
Wow. Someone's
lights
messing
gone
with my
out.
lights, I think.
And we worry about is it compressed well? How's the EQing? How's the limiting? But the audience doesn't know about those things.
No.
So they only think about can I dance on this? Can I sing along with this? And that's about it. So don't worry too much about all the technical stuff, or at least it doesn't matter that much. Not as much as you think.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's what yeah, the only thing is he says stop listening to your producer friends that are biased maybe, but I don't think that's good either.
Hmm.
I think still listen to them. Take as much feedback as you can, I'd say. I'd say if you have so much feedback, you kind of, this is what I always say. If I show my music to a big producer or a big label, the moment they give me feedback, I kind of know what I think more than I did before. So if a label says, "Hey, we don't like your that part of your track," at that moment, either I feel like I agree, which then helps me figure out what was wrong with it, or I'm like, "But I do like it, and I'm gonna keep it that way." So it gives you also showing your music gives you better guidance to what you yourself think, and I think that's worth a lot actually.
True. And then the other one, which was from John Summit.
Johnny Summit.
Yeah.
John Summit, he said, if we can pull it up.
Yeah. There we go.
Here we go. Someone tweeted, John Summit last year at Coco clears tonight by a mile. TikTok crowd overtaking. So someone was at the John Summit show and they said last year was way better. Now it's only TikTok crowd. John Summit then quotes that tweet and says, agreed, I want to retire and fuck off. I hate this shit. I'm so over it. I don't care about the money. I'd rather be an accountant by day and just play parties where people actually dance at night.
Hmm.
There's two things I
Quite
want to
quite a
want to talk.
statement.
Yeah, there's two things I want to talk about. One is like the TikTok crowd overtaking, which is a very interesting thing. Worth
What
talking
what
about.
what will we define as a TikTok crowd though?
I think people only filming and
Mm.
want to show that they're there instead of, hey, I want to dance, like actual dancing crowd. They want to be where the hype is now, and then next year they forgot about who John Summit is, or they don't even know who he is, but it's the big man. And then next year they're at some other concert
Mhm.
because they only follow the hype. I think that's what they mean.
Okay.
Quickly, I want to say to I also replied this to John Summit, but he probably didn't read it, but I'm like, be careful what you wish for. And then I say, wait, I'm gonna take my literal reply because I thought it was quite funny. Here we go. Oh, where is it? Or was it? It maybe was. This was maybe on Twitter. I think it was not on Threads. I'm still on Twitter apparently. Uh,
Maybe you never replied. You
oh,
thought you replied.
be careful. I said, be careful what you wish for. In other words, be grateful for what you do have, because I think, hey, dude, do have a crowd,
Yep.
so don't say fuck off with this shit. And also, the crowd is not. Yeah, maybe there's some people who are a TikTok crowd, if that is even a bad thing, but don't blame your whole crowd. That's what I also think.
Mhm.
So just be grateful. And also, also don't say you don't care about the money, because that's something only rich people say. LOL. That's just a statement I want to have made. Just, if you have enough money, it's very easy to say, I don't care about the money. I do it for free. Yeah, because you're financially in a good place.
Because
That
you can. Yeah.
because you can. So please, John Summit, don't say those silly things. um, yeah, and I think he later he also came back to it, saying something like, "Yeah, I don't even know if I still agree with this tweet I made like the next day or something." So maybe he did see my tweet.
I guess the management kicked in and said, "Dude, this is not the smartest thing to do."
Yeah, maybe, but I think the main thing what I wanna tell him, or like people, is like, hey man, be grateful for what you do have, even if you're a small DJ that starts out. If you're at a bar, like a shitty bar in your hometown, there's 20 people dancing, and you're like, this is shit, I want to have what Jay Hardway has. There is someone in the crowd that's like, wow, that's, if I can play in this bar,
Yeah.
there's a kid there that's like, "Well, if I can play here, wow, that's like the biggest thing right now I can accomplish." And yeah, it's just a matter of being grateful. And I think that's, especially with success, a lot of people forget to be grateful for the things they do have. But I think in general, a lot of people in life, and sometimes it is super difficult to look around you and see, oh wait, I have this and this and this, because there's always a part of your life that's shitty, or yeah, things aren't going your way, or and I think yeah, it's you shouldn't also just tweet out if you feel like that, because maybe that's what makes John Summit very real, is he tweets it out like, I feel this right now. um and then indeed maybe a manager says like, man, can you like delete that tweet?
Not too smart though, but yeah,
But it is real. It's like the emotion we all have sometimes.
true.
But then you gotta switch, I think, fast and be grateful, and go from there.
Mm.
Yeah, just if you're an upcoming artist, um, even the smallest little success, be grateful for it. It's yeah, that's very important. Very
It kind of
important.
feels like frustration that has built up that led him to tweet this. If
Yeah,
you look at the way how he talks, like fuck off, blah blah, these kind of things.
yeah.
It kind of feels like frustration, and I think that's could be the frustration that a lot of artists are feeling.
Hmm.
You as well, and Ralph as well. Like it, something's just changing, because of the whole social media thing, and the fact that everything needs to be recorded and you need to be connected 24/7. And I don't want to be sound like an old guy here, but it kind of
You do.
ruined. I know, but it
We
kind of
all do.
yeah, it kind of ruins the vibes in clubs.
Uh,
I'm not sure. I think it was a client of mine who played in a club last month, which was phone free.
nice.
So you had to put your phone into a locker in the entrance, and you really weren't allowed. You also didn't have any cell phone like a connectivity inside. They completely blocked everything, and actually thought that was a truly nice concept. Like to bring back the feeling of entering a club and just
Yeah.
being there.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
with your group of friends, with those other 200, 300 people, and no phones, no where are you, how is it over there, like is it busy
Yeah.
in
Yeah. Yeah.
there, yeah, like you don't care. I don't know, like I really like that concept, and I kind of feel like that's coming back over the next few years.
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe a little bit. I there
um
is a like a market for it, or there is a people want that. There is
yeah,
demand for that, I think.
yeah, there's always a counter
Um,
movement, and that's the
yeah,
counter movement.
yeah, I think so. I
I
do
would
think probably if you have a night where everybody's on their phone filming, that is very good for business. If you're a club and everybody's filming John Summit on the stage and
Yeah,
they're posting it to their 100 followers, if you have 1,000 people doing that, boom, like
it's free
it's
advertisement.
yeah, it's exactly. So that's the only thing. It is good for business. So,
Yeah.
and I think John Summit, you should realize that also because that's where your high paychecks come from.
Yeah.
Just saying it as a I mean, I've never been to his level when it comes to DJing, but I definitely can relate to a lot of aspects in as to my career. But I've always been very grateful for every single little, maybe stupid show that there's always something to be
True.
grateful for, I guess.
But it's hard because you get used to things really quickly.
Yeah, I mean, he got used to having those sold out shows in 4 years. That's
yeah,
I mean, that's impressive.
it's hard,
Yeah,
and that's what I love about what we do at artist coaching as well. Like simply taking a moment every month to stand still and zoom out and have a different perspective on your career
yeah,
can help you to appreciate those things a lot more, because it's easy to take them for granted or to not realize the position that you're in.
yeah.
And sometimes to kind of step out and zoom out and look at things from a higher view, let's say, it can really help to get a different perspective on your own career and be more soft, you could say.
Yeah, yeah, agreed.
um Hello to everyone in the live stream. I see Sammy in there, Fresh Ghost, Phil is here. What's up? We see you all. As mentioned before, we have a shitload of questions from the community. I'm hoping to answer a lot of them, but I'm not sure if we can do all of them.
It's going good with the questions. I like it.
Definitely, yeah. Um, Let me see. Let's just dive into the community questions. For everyone who's new here, if you want to participate in the conversation and also send in your questions for us, you can join the Discord. The link is in the description of the YouTube stream or in the descriptions of the socials. And there's a section there called podcast questions, and you can just drop them there all week long. And right before the episode, I take those questions and we talk about it. So let's start off with the first one by Bit3 or Byte. I don't know how it's pronounced, but let's say Bit3. Jay, is there a way to finish music faster?
Um, well, yes, go and finish that song that you've been putting aside for weeks. Just just do it.
But how
Like,
do you finish it faster?
I mean, you got to think about it's never finished. That's one. It's very important to realize it's never going to be perfect. Finish it faster is work more on it, spend more time on it. It's very simple. You have a track that needs to be finished. You need to spend time working on it, and know that not all your time spent working on a track will improve it. Sometimes you go back a few steps, like, oh, that version was actually better. Um, yeah, faster. Yeah, just spend as much time on it as you can. maybe work with other producers that are your friends, collab. So if you have a project is like, hey, I just made this amazing drop, but I don't have a break, and this week I have to work, I have stuff to do. Maybe there's a friend that's a producer that's like, hey, can you maybe make a break and we'll make it a collab. So
Hmm.
collabing is another way to get things done faster. um yeah, that's I think all I can say about that.
I could add something to that, which is set a deadline. So work towards a deadline and demand from yourself like that the track's finished by then. So have the discipline to say like I'm gonna finish it in 5 days and it should be done by then. And another thing that can really help is get an external opinion from someone else. So if you kind of feel like the track's 80%, 90%, you might already be at 100. But since you're a perfectionist, you think it's 80%, but you already are at 100. So getting an external opinion from someone who also is a producer and knows what he's talking about and that you trust can really help to bring another perspective on the same track. So deadlines and getting an external opinion from someone.
Yeah, good point.
Um, Renzo asks. By the way, Renzo is the community. How do you say that?
Mod.
Yeah, the moderator.
Renzo.
Hey, Renzo, and Renzo also creates the content that you see on socials. He cuts it out, and so that's
Nice.
Renzo.
He does a great job.
Yeah, he does. Great guy. He's from
Amazing.
Argentina.
Well, amazing. Good to not meet you, but Renzo for the win. Amazing.
He was wondering, how do you manage being away from home, family, friends when touring?
I mean, that is always going to be difficult. You have to make a choice to leave your friends, family, to go and do your job. And I think how do you manage that? Um, it's difficult. You kind of have to weigh what is more important to you in a way. So let's say I have a Friday night where a friend of mine celebrates his birthday, but then a show comes up and I can do this show in China, which pays good money and I can make a lot of content. Then I'm going to have to choose, hey, which is more important for me at that point, but also how much would the time spent away from that or like rejecting the invite, how what would that do? Like if it's let's say if it's your sister's wedding, for example, to name a thing. If I would miss that, I don't think that's very good for the relationship between me and my sister. So I would never miss that. I would never. No amount of money would be enough, unless I can say, "Hey, I get 20 million. Do you want 2 million?" And we'll,
Yeah,
like. But
I'll pay for
yeah,
your wedding.
that's how you manage it. You make choices. You have to always negotiate. If you have a partner or kids, then you have to really negotiate about when are you going to be home, when are you not going to be home, because you also have to take care of your kids, um, and decide if it's worth it for you. So if you're going to be on the road 24/7, is it worth not having friendships at home?
Yeah.
Um, that's basically it's a very tough thing, especially saying no to money can be very difficult,
Hmm.
um, because also sometimes there's just physically it's hard to do a certain tour and then the next week be on the other side of the world for a tour. You have to also question, hey, should I do that? Will my body manage that, or will I get panic attacks? It's Yeah, you have to always take all that into account.
Yeah.
Um, but I guess, yeah, all I can say about that, that is hard, and you have to make choices there. And it
It's
means sometimes saying no to friends and family, and sometimes saying no to your career.
it's always
Yeah,
about making decisions, I would say. Life itself is about making decisions. And every decision has an outcome and yeah, and you have to deal with that outcome. So the question becomes, are you willing and are you capable of dealing with those outcomes?
Yeah,
Like you said
yeah.
with the wedding example, are you capable of living with the fact that you've missed your sister's wedding
Or your own wedding.
or your own wedding? You know, like it's constantly
Yeah,
dividing between two choices and which one is the best and which isn't. And I think that has to do with touring as well.
yeah.
Um, do you also block like weeks or months that you kind of carve out for touring?
No, I never really did that. There's just certain dates or time you plan for a holiday that you book in, or like you block your calendar and you say, "Hey, that
Yeah.
week I cannot do anything." So even if there's an offer, I don't want to hear it. Um, so yeah, that's what you do. But I've never yeah blocked um, certain weeks just to block and see what I'm going to do there. It's always been kind of calculated.
Yeah. Another question from King Cole. If an established artist decides not to release a finished track, can he email it to big DJs who use ghost producers and offer them the track to release it under their name? Yeah,
Yes.
why not?
The answer is yes.
Yeah, if you're not going to release it, then why not? You know, like
Yep.
yeah,
And how exactly does this work? I also see is part of the
yeah,
question. I either you know the artist directly, so you text them. Maybe you know the producers directly from that artist, so you text them or email. Or your management knows someone, or you know the label. Um, so yeah, that's you reach out and you say, "Hey, I have this laying on the plank.
laying on the plank. Yeah, we have
I
a
I have this track. Are you interested in it?" And go from there. It's yeah, it's not that difficult. The only thing is, it's about having the connection to them, like having the network.
yeah,
Um,
but that is the difficult part, you know, because the network is not being built in a day. It's gonna take
no,
years.
but what I mean is, it's not difficult as in the literal things are not that difficult as
Mm,
long as you have the email address. But then again, you can DM everyone or a lot of people, and sometimes they check it. You know, you never know. You never know
yeah,
how Calvin Harris feels that day. Maybe it's like today I'm gonna go through my random DM requests and hey, what's this? Um, it's you gotta get very lucky, but life can have very weird things happening
twists and
like that. Very
turns. Yeah,
small things where all of a sudden someone sees your message and yeah.
yeah. This is another question for Ralph, but he's not here, so we'll skip that. Alice Prime, question for Jopke. How did you initially connect with Chesto and reach the point of sending him tracks for feedback? How often do you track send to him? Do you send him?
Um, I met Tiesto in 2014 through Garrix, who already knew him, and then I got his email, and then I sent him tracks to his email, and sometimes he replies. That's also how I got a track signed to his label in 2020 because I sent the track to him. He's like, "This sounds really good," and then it got signed to his label, Musical Freedom,
How did you got his email?
through him. Just
Asking.
yeah, I think because we met and then we were like hanging out in I think this was like Dominican Republic or something, and or Vegas. That's where I've also seen him a few times. And then yeah, you ask his email or he asks mine, but you exchange your. It's like this. People don't realize Tiesto. His name is Thijs. He's an actual person. He
He's a
has a
human.
phone. He has email. And if you're lucky enough to get that email, you can send him things, and he may or may not read them like every other human being that's busy. Um, so yeah, and then I send him my new tracks or stuff that I'm really excited about, that's not released yet. And then I sometimes I get like an email back like, "Oh, this sounds cool." Most of the time, I get nothing back. Um, and yeah, that's my the story of Tiesto and Jay Hartway.
Yeah. Um, let's see. A few for Ralph. You have to skip those. Just Phil. If I have a track Oh, this is a kick in the nuts. If I have a track for for a bigger artist, in this case Ralph, and I'm searching for a vocal and vocalist with an ID in mind. The track the track ID is finished and mastered.
Hey, I don't take this as a punch, by the
Okay.
way. He says, if I'm looking for a bigger artist, in this case Ralph, it can still mean, hey, Jay is also a bigger artist.
If
But
I
in
have
this
no,
case, I mean, the question is for Ralph.
he says if I have a track for a bigger artist,
Uh-huh.
in this
Yeah.
case Ralph.
In this case, the bigger artist meaning Ralph, but not bigger than Jay Hardway.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah.
That's
Okay.
how a pessimist would take that comment.
Yeah. I'm a pessimist. I'm negative. Should I send it before reaching out for vocalists since they have better connections, or should I only send it finished productions?
If I have a track for a big artist and I'm searching for vocal and vocalist with an idea in mind, the track idea is finished and mastered. Should I send it before reaching out for vocalist? I don't really know what you mean, but I think you mean, should I send the instrumental to, let's say, Bass Jackers, a real big artist, not Jay Hardway. um,
I think
but
yeah.
what I see here is like, if I have a vocal idea in mind, that means that idea is still need to be explored. That's still part of the track that is clearly not finished. So you should work on that. You should work um, on that vocal idea, because that's yeah, a lot of vocal tracks really there. The vocal makes or breaks the track. So I think that's very important to first get that vocal nailed, because an instrumental track that really still needs a vocal, I mean, there's hundreds of them, and it's like, yeah, what are you gonna do? It sounds good, but so then you don't want to send it yet. If it's without that already a amazing track and you don't really know if you want a vocal on it or not, then you should send it. Or you have no idea what to do with the vocal, you can send it. But the way you asked the question, just Phil or Azen, um, you have this vocal idea in mind, so explore that and make that happen uh, before you send it, because that sounds to me like the track is not finished yet.
Okay.
I hope I answered that the way I hope he asked it the way that I think he meant it.
Yeah,
Um,
I think so. I'm not sure. I'm not sure either. I think you do,
no,
and otherwise we'll hear it. I
yeah.
think he's in the. Oh yeah, he's in the stream. Yeah, he just said that's right.
Ah, amazing.
Kinda.
Yeah, well, it's, you know what, you gotta ask this to a big artist, ask
Yeah, like
Ralph.
a real big artist. Okay, a question. How was the transition from making some money from music to actually making a full-time income like? Do you ever feel discouraged in those times?
um, the transition happened for me quite fast, because I was DJing like locally and on like birthdays, or like graduation parties or weddings. So you don't make a lot of money from it. It's literally like on the side of your like day job or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
To all of a sudden touring and making my full-time job became um, DJing and producing in a matter of like 3-4 months. But the years before that was like, it was always on the side. um, and I think, yeah, to answer the second part of the question, so that was what the switch was like. The second part, did you ever feel discouraged in those times? Yes, and I still do. And that discouragement has never, that always comes and goes. And I don't think that ever mattered how much I was making at that point. I think that's what you should realize, is money is a big thing if you want to make a living out of something. It's very important. You need to make a living. As soon as you make that living with it, money is not the object anymore. There's other things in your way that are discouragements, and they don't feel different. So that's, yeah, I think that's very important to realize, those, the discouragement and the rejections and the things you go through in your career are always going to be difficult and discouraging.
Yeah.
That having said that, I think having a income with doing what you love is already such a. That's why I said the John Summit thing. You should already. I'm already realizing how special that is, and it can always. It's not like a. It's not a given, you know. It's not a. It's not something that. Um,
You take for granted.
yeah, I don't take that for granted at all. So,
Yeah.
but yeah,
It,
that discouragement is still real every now and then,
yeah.
more often than not, I guess.
Yeah,
How do you
because
say?
the
Yeah,
stakes get higher. You know, the stakes get bigger, as in now you have something to lose. In the beginning, you didn't necessarily have something to lose aside from the fact that you need to keep doing the job that you were doing.
yeah,
Um, and now everything's kind of depending on it. Your house, your children, sorry, uh, your wife, your pension. I don't know. Like everything's kind of depending on it, so the stakes become bigger. Um, yeah, I always say as well, like, doesn't matter how big you get, as in you just get different problems. You know,
yeah.
it's not like you could solve some problems, but there's new problems along the way.
More money, more problems,
Yeah,
and that is true. But the only thing that always should be mentioned there is if you have money, the biggest problem of all is out of the way at that point.
yeah,
So that's yeah.
it's a security net. Huh?
Yeah, I think
Uh,
money is a very much a big problem for a lot of people, and then health. I think so. If you have those two, always count your blessings.
yeah, but it's also like health should be your first one, right? Like if you're not even in good shape.
Yeah, but if
on-
if you can't eat, I mean, you know.
Yeah, but in I'm not sure if you necessarily need money for that. You can grow your own food,
Yeah, but if you don't have a house and you live on the street and like, it's
steal it. No,
steal people.
yeah,
That's the advice.
no, true. But the first, like, it's actually the Maslow pyramid. Do you know that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know that. Here he comes with the
Oh,
statistics.
there he is. Maslow pyramid. First, we should care about breathing, food, drinking, sex,
Very
sleep,
important.
clothing, and
Yeah.
shelter.
Yeah. So that's has to. A lot of those things have to do with money.
Exactly. Breathing,
Breathing doesn't have anything to
that's
do with
free,
money.
at
Yeah.
least for now. Um, and then we have to think about physical safety, employment, good health. That's second, actually, good health, and protective property. Yeah, protective property. And then friendship, family, sexual intimacy, self worth. That's in layer 4 actually. Self worth, trust, appreciation, and respect for others. And then on in the top of the chain, so if everything's set in your life, so your self worth, you have trust, you have friends, you have sex, you have family, you have shelter, you have safety,
What's the number one?
food, drink. The one thing that becomes possible at that point, if you have all those things set, creativity. So
Hey,
imagine how, in what good of a life and how comfortable you kind of are if you're capable of being
creative.
creative.
Yeah.
Because if you're in trouble and if you don't have any food, it's hard to be creative because
Yeah.
your first priority is surviving,
Get food.
which is getting food and shelter and those type of things. So
Yeah.
I do think this is a Western thing, as in we Western people, most of us at least, have it good. Um, and that's why a lot of Western people can care about a lot of so-called problems, which for other people might not even be a problem.
Yeah.
So it's
But it's also for people watching the Maslow pyramid, to say it simply, is it's 5 layers, and the bottom layer you need to get, yeah, those layers that Joe is now showing if you're watching. So you need the bottom layer to also get like
You first need,
access to the layer above that.
yeah, you kind
So
of first need to
you
check
need
all these
food.
things.
Yeah. So you need food in order to live, so that you can go and get a job, like so on, and it kind of goes up like that. Yeah, it's
I
very
always
interesting.
I look at it like as a game, as in you kind of need to finish the levels and then go a level
Yeah,
up.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
that's how
yeah,
it works. And as a Western person, most of them are in the at least the fourth layer and otherwise the fifth layer. But
yeah,
as I said, the fourth layer has self worth, trust, appreciation, and respect of others, and that's for a few people a problem as well. Like self worth is a big deal these days, you know.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, okay.
There's one
Um,
very important thing we haven't talked about:
what?
Eurovision,
Oh, dude.
the Eurovision drama of 2024.
Yeah. So, quick note: we in the Netherlands have
Joost Klein.
a participant we've sent out called Joost Klein from Europapa, which is actually a great song. To be honest,
Yeah, I love it.
I like it. I don't like Eurovision Song Festival, but I do like that song. Um, and something went wrong.
Yep.
What went wrong?
He got disqualified um, for something that happened backstage, and no one is really sure still what that is. But it's the first time in the history of the song festival that someone got disqualified. Um, yeah, that's basically, if you look at the facts, that's all we know. We know
Well, I
nothing
guess.
of what allegedly happened, because everybody's being very vague about it, even the
Yeah.
organization, which I think the mistake comes from all the people being very vague about what happened.
Yeah.
This makes people dislike Eurovision and dislike, um, yeah, the whole organization.
Yeah.
Because if they were clear, hey, this happened, then everybody could make up for themselves. Hey, do we think disqualification is a good punishment?
Yeah.
And now we're like, yeah, what happened? We don't know, but it's wrong. They disqualified them. Yeah, you can't say that.
I
So
heard from what's the guy's name in the Netherlands? Like the Albert Verlinde.
uh
Um, he's like a famous gossip guy here in the Netherlands, and he told on national television yesterday like that Joost seemed to have destroyed the phone of the social media girl who was kind of filming backstage with for social media, and he was
yeah,
done with that. So he kind of said like go away, and he pushed her or the phone or whatever, and it got destroyed. And that's it.
yeah, yeah,
Allegedly, I'm not sure, but you know, to me, honestly, it's food for tinfoil hat people because,
yeah.
to be honest, he was a real he was like a real chance of getting number one. You know, like he's
Mm-hmm.
doing so well on social media. His following is getting so big. All of his videos went viral. Like
Yeah.
you can almost kind of claim that there's a bigger thing going on here. But
Well,
yeah,
I think he and maybe his team did really underestimate how political those things get.
yep,
How political the music industry in general is. It is, you can, if you mess with the wrong person, they can actually do stuff like this because they don't like you.
yeah,
They can have a rule in place somewhere that then they can make you get disqualified, um, and maybe you rub them the wrong way. And that's, I think Joost or his team have underestimated that, and especially at Eurovision, which is such a political event. And we're not gonna get political on this podcast, but I mean mostly the politics, like the politics of business. And Eurovision is, yeah, is just basically all business. What TV rights and all these sponsors, and there's so much money involved. And yeah, so I think they underestimated that. And
I'm really curious to hear the end result though, because
yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah,
such a big
same.
thing at this point, and if it's really the example I just gave you, I think it's
Disproportionate
disproportionate.
punishment.
But
Yeah,
but
100%, 100%.
but yeah, we'll see. I think yeah, I don't know. Let's
We
see.
will see.
It's interesting to
Yeah.
to hear
It's a
that.
shame. It's a
Yeah,
shame.
it's definitely a shame. But although I actually thought, like, once I heard that, I was like, this could even be better for him because now the amount of press that he gets is insane.
Yeah.
So marketing wise, PR wise, this is a great thing.
Yeah.
If he didn't do anything super wrong,
Exactly.
because
Yeah.
if he did do something super wrong, he's kind of done, I would
Yeah.
say, or at
Yeah.
least has a big scar. And if it turned out to be something stupid, then people can forgive you and say like, oh, really? Is that the reason why you got
Yeah.
disqualified?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Uh-huh.
he does get a lot of PR,
Yeah.
which could be a benefit if things turned out well. So
Yeah, I heard he announced a tour for next year. That's like 2 weeks, ends 2 weeks before the the song festival again. Europapa tour. I think that's gonna sell out everywhere probably. So
probably, yeah.
I hope so
Nice,
for him.
nice.
Because I do think, and then that's the last thing said about the song festival. It's almost like now it's a competition of who can be the weirdest and who can
Yeah,
dress the weirdest and have the weirdest song and performance. And I think Joost was such a refreshing thing because, yes, he's also has this weird performance, but it's so real and authentic. That's also why I think that the general public was mainly in favor of him because it's just like you
he
can
wasn't he
sense
wasn't an
it's
act.
real.
Yeah,
It wasn't an act. Yeah, it's
yeah.
like it's a performance, and the rest, a lot of it was, yeah, an act. So
Yeah. Cool.
yeah,
For everyone listening,
thank you.
still listening, thank you. As mentioned before, if you are not part of the Discord yet and you want to participate in these conversations, make sure to join the Discord. The link is in the descriptions.
Is it
Uh,
maybe smart for us to set up an email so that people who don't have Discord or are just listening and they think, hey, maybe I want to email them a
you can
question?
always email to info@artistcoaching.nl.
Well, there you go.
That should work. So info@artistcoaching.nl, and otherwise the Discord. So that could work. Good point. We'll see each other next week again. Ralph will be back then, I guess.
Hopefully, you
And
never know with this
hopefully
guy.
next week we will be doing the live variant.
Oh yeah, true. That's next week.
Yeah, that,
But we can't promise that yet.
yeah, because as always, like our plannings are terrible. But for now, it looks like it's going to happen. So we will be physically with each other doing a real live stream. So
Yep.
hopefully we'll see you then, and enjoy your week.
Bye.
Bye.